Hello, my name is Jadwiga and I work as a librarian at the Sterling Heights Public Library. Thank you for joining me for our next episode of First Rate Reads. Once in a while, I like to pick up a book that is very optimistic, with happy ending and maybe some romance in it. That is why today I decided to point a few titles that I have read recently and they put me in a good mood. Maybe you will pick some of them as well. My first choice is Grown Up Pose by Sonia Lally. This is very sweet, funny and emotional read with great happy ending. The main character, Anu Desai, is in her 30s. She is a daughter, a wife, and a mother. But she still doesn't feel like she's sure that's what she wants from her life. After the separation with her husband, she tries to navigate her new reality. She takes a trip to have some fun. Then she purchases a yoga studio, which was always her big dream. Eventually, she realizes what really matters in her life. It is a sweet and funny story that shows the importance of family bonds and the meaning of being a grown-up person. My next two recommendations were written by well-known authors whose books have been very popular for years. The Spirit of the Season by Fern Michaels and Jingle All the Way by Debbie McConnell. The main character of The Spirit of the Season is Joy Preston, who moved to Colorado and now is very successful CEO of her own nail polish company. But when her beloved grandmother dies, she is heading to her hometown in North Carolina when she discovers that she inherited B&B called Heart and Soul. The one condition of the will is that in order to inherit the B&B, Joy needs to stay in her hometown for 6 months. She decides to do so working remotely in her company and helping her mother to work in B&B. And of course, there is also a little romance between Joy and young attorney Will. It is a very calming and sweet story. Jingle All the Way also features a successful female character. Everly Lancaster is a top real estate executive devoted totally to her work. When her boss feels her stress, Everly is forced to take vacation for the full month of December. She decides to take some trip before heading home to visit her family for Christmas. Instead of luxury beach vacation, her vengeful assistant books her cruise in the Amazon. Everly is horrified because she is forced to spend a few weeks on the cruise without any technology. On the cruise, Everly meets charming naturalist Usher Adams, and the romance begins. But will it survive? Will Everly and Usher be able and willing to compromise their very different lifestyles in order to build any relationship? You have to pick up the book to find out. My fourth pick is romantic comedy debut by Rachel Lynn Solomon, The X-Talk. Shay is a producer in Seattle Public Radio, but she always dreamed about hosting her own show. When the station plans to make some changes in programs and staff, Shay has a chance to make her dream come true. There is a small catch with this opportunity though. She would have to co-host the show with her newest colleague, Dominic, who's fresh off journalist master's program and with whom she clashes lately. Secondly, they would have to pretend to be an ex-couple, since the show, supposed to be called X-Talk, where two exes will deliver relationship advice live on air. While working together, Shay and Dominic start to fall for each other. On the other hand, getting caught on not being totally truthful with the audience could mean the end of their careers. It is light and enjoyable romantic comedy. The next book, The Authenticity Project by Claire Poley, is a story about being brave and putting yourself forward and finding out that it is not as scary as it seems. It starts with Julian, an eccentric, lonely artist who writes the truth about his life in a small journal and leaves this journal in a local cafe. The journal is found by the owner of this cafe, Monica, who adds her own entry to it and lets the journal to travel further. Those are the first two characters that we meet on the pages of this novel. While the story continues, we get to know some more characters with their funny, quirky, sometimes heartbreakingly sad, and painfully true life stories. Last but not least, I would like to mention the book that I've already talked about in my previous video. But since we're talking about optimistic, feel-good stories, I felt like I absolutely had to mention this one, The Flatshare by Beth O'Leary. It is a super funny story with very likable characters. Tiffy and Leon have unusual arrangements. They share the flat and the bed, but they have never met. Because of their work schedule, one of them is occupying the flat when the other is at work. As you might expect, eventually they meet in person in pretty hilarious circumstances. It is a story full of humor, friendship, and unusual bond between two people that eventually brings them to care for each other and love each other. This is all for today. Thank you for watching. Please check previous videos from the First Rate Read series on our library Facebook page or SHTV1 YouTube channel. Take care.